Okay. So today I was going to talk about data table four. I believe we're on data table four now, and I'll share um, my recent PowerPoint. So this is really going to be for Jenna and Corinne that are on the line. Oh, and Evelina, that's true. You guys are doing this right now. So this is basically your active research support and for your, all your participating faculty on your grant. And basically what the NIH is looking at is if you're gonna have a grad student on, come into to a PhD program for 5 years, possibly they could be 2 years on your training grant, but then where are they going to be funded for the other 3 years? And does your faculty, does your critical mass, can they afford them, kind of thing? They also look at if you're putting in, a cancer training grant, how much NIH funding does your faculty, do they have NCI funding or do they have, NIGMS funding? So they look at that. But basically, this is all research support. Some people get this confused with other support. Other support is would list your current and pending. This does not list any pending, and this only lists things in data table four where they are a project director or PI or an MPI. If they're a co-investigator, you're not supposed to list that here in this table. Again, it's for research support, so you wouldn't list institutional support. So for example, like Scott Latendre, he would be listed in this table, but since he is the PI of a T32, it wouldn't be listed in here. Only his research support would be listed. Things, the money that's just strictly for research. The T32 is for training. So you can list, obviously, NIH, university funding, startup packages, foundation funds. Some people, there's a little vagueness on clinical trials. I will list them if I, get confirmation, hey, this is funding for research purposes. Though clinical trials, it can be very hard to get an annual direct cost, but it is possible there. So this is what the actual table would look like. Of course, your funding source, what we just talked about, and then the grant number. The great thing about Extract is it pulls all that NIH data out for you, so you don't have to worry about any of that. Um, Again, your grant titles, your project period, and then your current annual direct costs. So this is where like people will say, "Oh, here's my other support," and you think, "Oh, that's great. That lists your current grants and the titles and the dates." But it's giving you a 5 year total cost, and that's not what we want here. We want the annual directs. So you can, like I said, you can glean a lot of information off the other support, but it's not going to give you every single, column of information. Unfortunately, there's no one-stop shop for, everything that you need. So, current annual direct cost, and then they divide them up by however many faculty you have, and then you have an average. This is actually a really low average, so it's not the best example here. So I already kind of talked about this. Things that you, like I said, you would not list. You wouldn't list in any R25s or T32 to T34s, anything that it would not be deemed as a research grant. So, with that said, can you see my screen still?
Yes.
You see extracts. Okay. So, I'm just gonna pick on someone here. Let's see. Hold on one second. And then let me find the right victim here. Does anybody have any questions while I'm looking for that?
I have a question, Jill, because I'm actually doing this right now for our UCSF rheumatology renewal.
Mhm.
And I wanted to make sure, are we doing all of these tables? And please, I'm sorry if you already said this prior. Are all the tables okay to do it in extract? and not do it outside, like on a Word document or Excel.
So
Right?
you have the option to do them in Microsoft Word
Mhm,
document,
mhm,
which you can find those table formats on the website.
right.
Um, I personally, yours is a renewal. Remind me, Evelina, or is it new?
So it's a renewal and it's only a 5-year grant, so not a lot of data, but it is a
Yeah,
renewal.
I personally, but you've had to do remind me of the mechanism. Is this a K-12?
No, it's a T32, and
Oh,
we've
it is a
already
T-32.
submitted. Yeah, T32, and we've already submitted the RPPR. Obviously, we don't know what's going to happen, but
Okay.
yeah, it's the renewal
So
for that same.
my suggestion would be to use extract.
Yes,
Um, and so the reason why I say that is because then you're going to be able to pull over your completed table 8 from your RPPR.
that's
So
right.
basically it makes it like you don't have to do that, right? Because it's going to be
Mhm.
in there. So let me you can still see my screen, right? The one with
Yes,
the error
yes.
comments. So I'll just show you uh like this is a grant that I'm currently working on, and I'm going to hit continue RTD for renewal.
Mhm.
And so you would maybe have to initiate it. And
I already
then
have
if
it exactly like you have it. It's exactly the
okay,
same.
so like the trainee names, like if you
Mhm.
haven't done this already, I feel like we've talked about this.
Oh, no,
Um,
no, it's done. It's done. That's done. I'm now
okay,
on
so yeah, you've
faculty.
copied. Okay, perfect. Okay, so
That's
you've
correct.
copied them all in there. So yeah, I would definitely I would do that.
Mhm.
You go ahead and add. I would look at your last renewal and see, okay, what departments and programs were involved, and
Mhm.
then look at your. Basically, you need to look at your current faculty to see where their appointments are. And so you can see here we have faculty from biology, public health, all these different places, and so that kind of, knowing where your faculty are being pulled from kind of determines what departments and programs you'll be adding. And then for tables uh, 2,
Mhm.
this is their records. This will fill out table 2, and then the other source of support, table 4, what we're talking about today, that populates your table 4. Mentoring records that populates table 2. So it's not exactly like linear, like not putting in directly into the table. You're putting it into a record, and then it's
Yes,
going to create
that's
this.
right.
Yeah. So,
Mhm.
um, but yeah, and then your appointments for your table 7, it's very, very cut and dry here. We received 6 postdoc slots per year, and then they want to know like how were those 6 appointed. And they're for postdocs, it's slightly different. They want to know like the types of degrees that they had. And they ask for, oh, wait a second here.
Where do you enter this information for this appointments page? Oh, it says edit. You enter it right in there.
Yeah, but it's interesting because URG is no longer here. They must have literally just changed this because it
Oh,
used to say you used to have to report on how many underrepresented groups appointments you had, and it's
oh,
not
they
out.
removed that
Yeah,
probably. Yeah.
yeah. So, well,
Not
okay,
less to populate.
okay, yeah. So there we are. So actually, that's interesting. So I'm gonna put in here and see what this table looks like. There's a little, okay, ask for your counting and degree types. Okay. There's nothing about asking about underrepresented group numbers anymore. So that's been completely taken out of
They updated the portal, the database.
interesting. Well, it's another little
Oh,
email I can send out. So basically URG has been stripped from extract. Just So anyway, there you have that. One last thing to input. And then the difficult table for you, Evelina, is going to be this table 3. which is that's going to list all the other training grants on your campus where there's overlapping faculty
Yeah.
between those grants. So I actually have already this is for the Latendra grant what Jenna and I are working on. So actually I already filled all this in. Um,
Where is this in the extract? I don't see this for me, or maybe because I don't have anything in there, it doesn't populate.
yeah, no, but you should see on the left it says trainee support and summary.
Oh, okay, okay. Transport. Let me look as you're doing that for you. Okay.
Yeah. So
Hmm.
I'm just wanted it quickly before I get, my ADHD is kicking in apparently. We need to do some research on that. Before I get back to that, I just wanted to show you, like, Evelina, this is how it populates. It looks just like how the table
Hmm.
should be, but
Yep.
yet
Yep.
you're putting it in different spots, right?
That's right. That's right.
So, so for Jenna and I and our processes right now, I'm working on tables like 1 through 4 right now. She's working on trying to get answers back from people. Um, and
Mhm.
I'm hoping by next week I can go back to the PI and say, okay, we've got table 3 done, table two's almost done, table 1 I still need to work on, and then table 4, which is our active research support, which I need to still continue to work on. So,
When is your T32 renewal due, Jill?
ours is due May 7th.
Oh, okay. We're about the same time. I think ours is like May 14th, something right.
Oh,
Right.
okay, yours is a
Yeah.
bit earlier too. Yeah.
Mhm.
So the thing about this grant is we don't have to. We're so happy that we don't have to go by the Science CV
Oh,
requirement right now, which is like that's a huge.
huge
Uh,
burden off for you guys. Yeah.
yeah. So this is kind of like at least when you show the PI, even though if you look at it from our perspective, all this NIH stuff was pulled in directly. But
Hmm.
university funds, but these are outdated, so I need to go back in. That's where I need to be, focusing and cleaning stuff up. But
Mm.
if you go into your PI right now, they're like, "Ooh, you've been really busy. This
Right,
looks
right. Yeah, my
so."
PI knows exactly what gets pulled, so I don't know, I can't trick her that way. But but I know what
Yeah.
you mean. It looks like we've done a
So, you
lot.
know what I mean? They're like, "Oh,
Yeah,
wow, you've already done 49 pages."
you're
Well,
working
yeah,
so hard.
so busy,
Right.
but anyway, so yeah, so that that's kind of just how it just spits things out. And then your
Mhm.
table 8, we just copy that over from the RPPR, go in, maybe do some small
Mhm.
cleanups and stuff like that. But so okay, but let's get back to a faculty member
Yeah.
and actually do so I have on my other screen a spreadsheet, what you guys I'm hiding from you apparently. Um, let's see. Um, I'm gonna use, I think, uh, to Laramie Smith as I have on my other,
Can I just ask really quickly, how important is this research interest in their faculty detail box, the top box? How important is it to make sure the research interest is there?
you know what? That's a great question because every box you want an answer in. And I know that sounds like
Um,
so simplistic, but that is
mhm.
such a simple thing because they want to make sure all the boxes are filled out. Whether they're filled out
Mm.
correctly and they've been verified is
Yeah,
another.
we want to ask that question,
They
but you
don't
want,
like the
yeah,
nuns. They don't like to see none.
none. Got it.
They want to see something there. And it sounds as like crazy as that is, but they want to see something. So for here, I went through here the other day and I put in the information that I knew, and then we're still collecting this data from the PIs, this research interest.
Mm.
And if they don't get back to us, I'm just going to go out and like search this person, which I'll do right now to show you research interest.
Oh,
And I
perfect.
was able to pull a lot from the faculty profiles.
Oh,
Mhm.
perfect. Okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so see, then I can just look on here.
But the research interest doesn't really change. Like if this is not even up to date, let's say, I don't know, the last 3 years, that's not going to change.
you know, it, it can, but it also can be, some PIs have several research interests. So you want to
That's
make sure you're putting on the correct research interest that's relevant for the grant.
makes sense.
So, so I don't think she was a good example for that, but let's go look at her faculty website. Here's her
Okay.
personal website. Well, that's not going to help me out. Um, there's got to be, I'm
If
sure I
you
can.
go to the fellowship website, there's a list of mentors and it has all their research interests. So I pulled a lot from that table too.
Um, the fellow, oh, the fellowship for
For
your,
ID fellowship, yeah.
uh, here. Okay. Oh, so now here we go. This is perfect. So, Smith, oh, wrong Smith, Laramie, perfect. Access to HIV care among some substance abusers.
So that's relevant to this grant.
Yes, because we're doing an HIV,
Oh,
um,
got it, got it.
and then there you have it. So it took a little, it took a couple minutes to go out and find that, but
Can you
Jenna
also
just
go back? Sorry,
she
one more
gave me
thing.
this bold line email that this like this this is exactly where I can pull all the information for most of our faculty. So this is perfect.
That
Yeah.
is great. Would you mind going back to that same screen? There's another question that it asks that sometimes I don't know. The one about training roles. There's all those options in there.
So normally, I mean, I like in our example, Scott Latendre is our PI, PD. So
Mhm.
that would be here. Preceptor, majority of your faculty are going to be preceptors, or is this just a fancy word for mentor? So
Mhm.
most of them are just going to be mentors. They're going to be mentoring one of your trainees on the grant.
Okay.
Some of them will have different, you might be in an executive committee and, um, of some sort. But generally, they're all going to be preceptors. No, like if this was Scott's record, I could say he could be a PDPI, and maybe he's also considered a preceptor because he might be mentoring someone on the grant. But generally speaking, yeah, it's mostly
What
mentors.
about the executive other like is it because I don't know where to like we don't ask them those things. We just ask them, are you like mostly it's PDPI or preceptor?
Yeah,
All those other
usually that's the case. So,
okay.
the trained T32s have other, like maybe a steering committee or recruitment committee or um, what's the word I'm looking for? An outside review committee.
But how do we know? Do you ask that on
Your,
your
your PI would be the only really the one that knows.
got it, understood.
Your advisory committee, I couldn't think of the name. So yeah, maybe there's an advisory committee, external advisory committee or internal advisory committee. So you could click something like that. But again, you don't necessarily have to disclose that.
Oh,
Uh,
okay. It's not such a
I mean,
critical information.
no, because that will also be in the text, in the app or the other attachments, so if they're
Okay.
talking about. So
Okay, sounds
yeah.
good. Thank you so much because I'm literally doing this right now. I'm going through each of these sections and I'm stuck at a few of them. So I know you're going to go over it and I'm going to hopefully learn a lot
Yeah.
here. Yeah,
Okay,
perfect.
let's go back to Laramie Smith. So, Laramie already has two grants here that are listed straight from NIH. So, one of them is, so actually, I don't know if I could just do the split screen here. Um, okay, so then I went in to our internal database. And let's see if I can pull this up for you, not confuse you guys too much. So I went into our internal Oracle records and I found these other grants based on, um, I'm looking at the names here, the grant numbers, the
Mhm.
sponsors. These look like they're subawards with UC AIDS, that's UC-wide consortium. So it looks like she has two grants from that. Looks like probably that's a sub-award from Miami. And then here, this looks like maybe a private one. So, but we can see here the dates. These were all, well, actually the 131 has expired, so we can delete that one. But we can list these four other grants on the on the table. So I'm going to go ahead and do this one, but I'm going to have to pull that off screen so I can see. But I'm going to go ahead and here and add other source of support. And this one is, it's going to say what type of support. All we're doing when you first go to the first screen is you're searching to see if this is already in the extract database. More than likely, I mean, sometimes it is, but so I will just take a portion of the title and search in their database. So that's funny. It'll say you can't have these hyphens or anything in there. So I have
Yeah.
to take the hyphens, which is just ridiculous. So, but I know it's not going to be there. So we're gonna have to create a new fund source. So the project title, we're gonna put that in here. And the source of support, it looks like this is a California wide. This is the UC California HIV. Um, so this is, I'm gonna say other. It's not really university. It is university and it isn't university. I'm gonna say other because this is coming from UCOP, basically. So what I can do in here, if I wanted to, I could put that in the description. And then based on the award number in my little database here. And then it started 02 2023 and ends 01 2027. Create your fund source. And then here we have to retype our information. What was it? 02 2023, 01 2027. So I can see in here, I have to divide this by 4. So she's getting 224,325 per year in direct costs. I'm looking at my internal report here. So now you can see that's been listed here. And then I've got a couple other ones I can enter for her, but I think you guys are getting the idea there. So any questions on that? Oh, chat.
Where are you getting the project number? Is that just because it's in your internal database or they provided it to you?
No, this is our internal database. So what I did here, so there's two ways of going about this. I could go to the PI and ask them for this information. I personally I prefer to just run a report in our financial system and then enter it myself because it saves the PI a step for
Mhm.
asking. Or conversely, you could come up with this list, send it to them and say, could you confirm? Something like that. So yeah, I'm just going by what our internal systems say.
So it's not, so I am asking, I've asked every single one of them to provide me their other support, and they have a separate page that they provided me this information. So I do have it, but I don't remember seeing anything that says funding source number. And that's why I was like, if I don't enter that, is that going to be a big ding? But you're saying,
No. Now, again, they do like to have, every box filled out, but you know
right,
what? Sometimes it's a foundation fund. You don't have a number. You know what I mean?
right,
If
okay.
sometimes like if it's, comes in as it's a, money from Pfizer, private industry, I'll just put Pfizer as a project number,
Mhm.
just simply because I think they would rather see the, the company's name versus a number. But that's just
It's
me.
true. So the description. And then one other thing, I saw you doing some kind of, or I heard you doing some kind of calculation for the budget amount or the direct cost amount. On the other support page, they're giving me a number, and I was under the impression I'm just going to stick that in. But then you did some kind of
No,
no.
if do you want to share your screen, I'll show you. Um,
Uh,
um, So basically, when they send you that other support, they're showing the total cost for 5 years, and that's indirects and directs for all 5 years. And so that number is highly inflated compared to the number we want. We want an annual cost, so 1 year of funding, then the direct costs only. They don't want IDC in there.
Oh boy. Okay. So I'm going to maybe what I'm going to do is, but I don't want to take up other people's times just to kind of go over my example. If you want to wrap up what you're doing, because I have like obviously a live example of this that I'm
I mean,
struggling.
I'm fine doing it. I don't know if everybody else is okay. I mean,
Okay.
um, yes, no, anybody? Everybody else okay if I
Yeah.
continue with Evelina? Yeah. Yeah. So Evelina, I think it's because this is really important for your grant.
Yeah, yeah. This is what I'm trying to capture, right? From
Yeah, this if you put in total cost for 5 years, you're going to be skewing your numbers significantly.
okay. So I'm having a very slow computer situation, and I can't even open anything. So,
Well,
uh,
okay, but that's okay. So I can tell you,
because I want to.
even pull up another support sample really quickly.
Mm,
Um, oh, let's see. Yep, I was able to pull one up off on NIH.
mm,
Oh, let's see. Oh yeah, here we go. Let me share my screen. There we go. Okay, so see it's the formatting is extremely different. So it's gonna say here, right? We were able to glean the title. We don't need that. There's our project number. Here's the source of support, NIH. The dates. Ooh, that's great. And then all of a sudden you get here and you're like, oh, that's a really large number. So this is the award is 5 years, and this is the total amount for 5 years, directs and indirects. And we want 1 year, just direct cost only. So obviously, it's not as simple as just dividing that by five. You need to divide it by five and then divide it by whatever the indirect cost rate is for that grant. And so I could say, again, this may not be 100% because some years are different, right? Um, but let's say we've got, oops, I'm trying to do too many things at one time. Oh, I just made how the hell did I do that? Excuse me. Clear, clear. Oh shoot. Anyway, you could do that. I I went to go hit my calculator for my iPhone and all of a sudden I turned it into like a scientific calculator.
oh yeah, there's like a feature that does that. Let
Oh
me see.
yeah, wait, let's go back to
Yeah,
base.
it takes you back. Yeah, exactly.
1492232. That's what I got. Divide that by 5 years. Oops. Shit. 14922. Oh, I think I got my twos mixed up. 232 divided by five, it would be 298,446. That is the total cost on average, because we're not really 100% sure here, for 5 years. However, we need to back out the indirect costs there. So divided by ours is 1.58, I believe. Ours is 58% right now. So I divided that by 1.58 and I came up with 188,890. So that is the number you're going to want to put into your table, not 1.492 million. So I don't know what your indirect cost rate is, Emily. Let's see if it's on the
Oh,
website.
there's a rate. Okay, so I would have to. Okay, I'm slowly getting stuff pulled up so I can show you what the PI, well, not the PI, the faculty member provided me,
Mhm.
and then see how that makes sense in how I would translate that to an extract. I could share my screen if you want me to
Sure, go
now.
ahead. Yeah, so I just looked you guys up and it looks like you guys have your indirect cost rate is, go ahead and show your screen. I'm just
Yeah.
still trying to look for it here. But I think you guys are about the same cost as us.
So, okay, I don't know if you can see my screen.
Mhm.
So here I am, same place as you were. Pretty much we're in the same thing. We finalized our PPR and now we're
Actually,
doing
no, I can't see. Oh,
um,
there we go. There we go. Little delayed.
there's such a lag. Yeah, yeah, total lag. So here this is kind of what I'm working on right now, and I'll show you. It is such it's slower than molasses here. Okay, so I can show you like the first one
Mhm.
and Julie Adler. And so yeah, I haven't filled out all this stuff yet. What she has,
Mhm.
here's research support. And thank you for showing me how you add it, as I didn't know how to add it actually. But this is
Mhm.
what she has, right? And she's given me, or her assistant or somebody, I got this list from them.
Mhm. Mhm.
You see that?
Mhm.
So um so I'm okay, so they're giving me a funding source, they're giving me a grant number. And then here they are, current year direct costs.
Mhm. That's what
So
they're giving you. Mhm.
that's what they're giving me, right? Okay, so let me just go back and like a real example here as to number
So,
one, is that even here?
so for the first one, that will not be listed on there,
Yeah.
because it's in a no cost extension, and grants that are in a no cost are not allowed to be listed.
Oh,
So,
really? At no cost.
yeah, I can't. What was
Oh,
the? It's ends in 563 health information. So can you go back to the extract record?
but it says NIH. Okay, so that's weird. Okay.
Yeah. So that's not, see how it did not get pulled in from NIH? That's
Oh,
because it's not allowed. It's an in and no cost extension, so you're not allowed to put it in here. So that one, we just knocked that one right out of the park. We're not going to add that one to our
cost
list.
extension. Okay, so here's me, a rookie, have no freaking idea what any of this means. It's all mumbo jumbo in my head. How the heck would I have known that?
Well, they put in the comments in the no, it's in a second no cost. And
Oh, I
I happen to know
see.
that, I mean, the instructions are pretty specific that you can't put in anything in a no cost. Any
Okay.
grants, a no cost extension. So the original end date was like 1/31/2024, and they didn't spend all their money, and it's going into now the second no cost extension. And so they're trying to spin out a balance of funds, it sounds like. And the NIH doesn't want to see something that's a no cost extension in there. So
Okay, so that little note, if I knew what NCE meant, and
yeah, and that's I totally get it. So yeah, no cost extension.
okay,
And
this is
so
great learning. Yeah. So the next one, I would
okay.
let me. I think this one's already in there.
Okay,
Three
yeah,
seven eight.
assessing.
Yeah, 377804. Yep, that's there.
Perfect.
So I leave that alone, right?
Yep, you're good on that.
Okay, and this number. So
So
what is it?
interesting, it's a different number, right?
It's a different number. So then, am I supposed to?
No,
Is this correct?
so you can't edit that number right there. And so I think so. It says there's an MPI, so there's at least two PIs on here. So I think she's probably getting the other number was 251. This is 125.
Yeah.
So the 251 was probably the total for
Mhm.
both PIs, and her share is 125.
Mm.
So
So that's
regardless,
automatically calculated, and I'm not going to even question that, nor do
well,
I
yeah, I wouldn't even, you know
edit
what,
it.
you can't change the number if you wanted to. So just
Exactly.
we're just
Leave it
gonna
as
leave
it.
it there.
Okay, great, great. All right. So far, this is I'm on the right track. I look at the list that
Yeah,
they
you're
gave
on the right
me.
track. And then that's the third grant, the advancing
That's the third grant, yeah. And then there's this one, which is
an RF1.
63, an RF one. How did you know it's an RF one? Oh, it says it on there, yeah. And this is so this I would have to add because that's not here. Oh
No,
no,
it's right
there it is. There it is. First one.
there. Yeah. So
Okay.
you're so
So
you're
so
good
far
on
I'm
that.
good. So far I'm good. Then I get to this guy, which is a AHRQ, obviously not an NIH, right? So that's when I would go and go to how you showed me. I'm
Nope.
sure.
Okay, so hard stop, go back.
Okay, okay, go. Go back.
Sorry. Go back to there we go. So it says the person's a co-investigator. We're not allowed to add any
Okay.
co-investigators. If that's
Not
their
allowed.
role on the grant, we're not supposed to
Right.
add those. So,
Investigator or this no cost
yeah, no cost extensions are out.
extensions.
Co-investigators are out. So let's go to the
Not
next. So then now you can say check. Let's go to the next one.
So I'm saying not allowed. I can just put not allowed, not allowed. Okay, so then the next one is
PDPI.
it's a foundation. So I can add that, and I don't know what these notes mean.
That just means it's probably the project number. I mean,
Oh,
if it's
perfect. So that's maybe a
grant
project
number,
number.
that looks like a grant number of some sort. So
Okay.
yeah, I would just go ahead and
Yeah.
add this to the foundation fund. Or maybe
Mhm.
this grant number over here is the 2022-0580. Maybe that's the grant number. And
Maybe.
then
I
yeah,
mean, he put it under the grant number column. So
yeah.
it,
Then
yeah.
just
And I don't know what this means.
just use that. Yeah. I don't know what that. Maybe that's an IACUC number or something. I don't know.
Yeah, that was gonna say, what the heck is that IC with that IU code number? But like, I know some of them is a mandatory that you have to add.
IACUC numbers are for is it humans or animals?
Oh, I see, I see. So then it's because it's mandatory. I saw on like,
It's animal, sorry. I'm thinking of but yeah, the animal, that's probably an animal welfare number. But so you don't need to worry about that. We don't have to deal with any of that.
okay, got it.
So,
So if I
so
need to
yeah, you
add
could just
that,
go ahead and add your other
yeah,
support. And you
just
could
kind of do like how you did it because I had a really hard time with this feature trying to figure.
yeah. So I mean you could obviously you could just put in like a couple of I would just copy and paste that
The name.
title and stick it in there. It was the next one down actually, I think.
Oh, I think it wasn't this one. AHRQ. I
No,
should.
that
Oh, yeah,
that
you're right. Co-investigator. Duh. So glad your eyes are working better than mine.
so yeah, it's not gonna like this entry because you have a hyphen and all this crap in there.
Yeah. Okay, so I would then, I don't want to bore
Yeah,
everybody.
just hit search fund sources and then it's gonna say, do you want to just add a new one? Yeah.
So pretty much do that. Yeah, it's probably going to say it doesn't like. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
And then, okay, so here's
I would
where
just say, yeah, let's just add a new one. Oh wait, it's not like
I don't have add a new one.
okay,
Uh,
so take everything out of your project title except the word like age and everything after that hyphen, just take it out. Yeah, just now hit search fund sources.
Oh, wow. I would
Just
have
take that little
never,
hyphen out. Yeah.
I would have never known that. I was like stuck on this last week. I just gave up. I was because I kept searching and searching, nothing would come up. Then I'm like, what the hell do I do? That's
Great.
it.
Yeah.
F. Okay, thank you.
Okay, so then create new fund source.
Okay, now I'm in the screen that I've never seen before, and here is where I can
And then
add.
go ahead and pop your
things.
title in there. The source of support is a foundation, right?
Foundation, not national science. It's just foundation.
Yeah, it's just it's like I'd say discretionary, but foundation endowment.
And
Yeah.
then I go back to my spreadsheet and get, well, it doesn't even let me do that. Then it goes back to, then I would enter all of this information.
Yeah, so that's your grant number. And then it's 4/2023 to 3/2026.
For 2023.
Yeah, it doesn't use days in there. Yeah, so
Oh, I
it's
just
not,
use the
you're
hyphen.
gonna need to put your hyphen. Yeah, there we go. Your backsplash or back, whatever.
What's the end date? You remember it.
Was it 3/2026?
Every time I tab back, it doesn't let me. What a beautifully painful process. 331,
Yeah.
331, 2020. So just 3/2026. They
Yeah,
don't care about
3/2026. Yeah.
2026, 03, 03. Oh, this must be daunting for people to watch. So sorry, guys.
It's kind of, and then
Does
go ahead and create new fund source.
And then I don't have a description except that. And
Yeah.
then I create. Okay, so here's where it gets. Looks like your math hat has to come on.
And then for 2023 to 2026, you have to put that in again. I know.
So beautiful, just so beautiful. Okay, so here I gotta go back so we can see the number that he's giving me, which he's calling it current year direct cost.
50,000, whatever it was.
So it was 5629.
No, it's one above that, the 50,546. There you
Okay,
go.
thank you. 50546. Yeah, 50,005. Okay, so then you were saying I can't enter that total because that would be too easy.
No, there you go. Yeah, you should be able to enter that.
Oh, so I don't have to do your calculation that you did?
No, because it looks like what they gave you, they filled that out for you, right? And it says on there specifically annual direct cost. So we're gonna assume that that's correct.
Oh, okay. You're gonna assume because
We're gonna assume what they sent you,
Mhm.
um, the 50,546 is the correct number.
But if they don't say specifically that that's the current, like, then I have to. If they're giving me that entire total,
Yeah. Well, we're
then
gonna assume that they read the instructions and they saw that we're asking for the annual direct costs. There you go. And then it
not
hits.
save and exit. Yeah, for
Yeah.
now I'll just save and exit. So I won't.
So yeah, that's the hard thing. Like, so if someone sends you another support document, yes, you
Mhm.
would have to do that calculation. Someone you specifically sent out a copy of the table and said, okay, here's the annual direct cost. Now, if it was like $1 million or something, I would have gone back and said, are you sure that's an annual or is that a total? If it's a really high inflated number. But to me, that sounds like it's a very reasonable number. Whether you can actually validate that, I mean, you're taking their word for it, right?
Yeah, no, totally. Yeah, exactly. But this was actually maybe a better case scenario. But then I have others that have given me their true other,
Yeah,
uh,
then you're gonna have
and
to do
that
the
gets tricky.
yeah, then you're gonna have to do
Yeah.
a calculation and figure out, okay, um, and then you have to yeah, you have to obviously divide by 5 and then divide by 1 point whatever the your current indirect cost rate is. And it looks like I looked it up a second ago and I thought it was 60%.
Direct cost percentage. That should be on our website someplace.
I'm looking it up right now. You guys are if it's an on campus and well, it's hard to say when it was made, when it started. You'd have to here, let me send you the website.
Okay, cool.
Um So you could see like if it was started in 2021 through 2023, you guys were at 61.5%, actually through 2024. And then it looks like it jumped up July 1st, 2024 to 64%.
So something like this, for example, I just very slowly pulled an other support, which looked like your other support page.
Yep. hmm
So for example, this grant right here, which I'm going to have to pull in at some point. So where she's giving me the total award amount, this is
Yes.
what you're saying. I have to do the obviously have to do the calculation.
Yep, you're gonna say divide by 5 and then divide by your current on-campus
Mhm.
IDC rate, which is like it looks like it's 61.5%. Oh wait, so then wait, this is a 5-year grant, right? Yeah, it is a 5-year grant. It's interesting, but they didn't put years 1 and 2, they just put the last 3 years on there. Okay. Well, either way, yeah, you're gonna want to divide that by that full number, 4.399, whatever, divide by 5 and then divided by 61.5%.
1.5. So direct, okay. So I divide So this number divided by 5,
Mm-hmm.
the 4.399999 divided by 5,
Mm-hmm.
and then divided by 61.5.
Yes. And so,
I get that number. Okay, I'll have to do
so I
that.
got 544,000 a year.
Okay.
So, it says there's an MPI on here, so that means there's a multiple PI. So
Yeah.
this PI, I can assume, is not getting that full $544,000 a year.
Right.
I think they're probably going to have to split that at least 50-50 with this other PI. So this might be worth, you could then just divide that by two, or you could go back to them and say, what's your annual direct cost? And to get a clarification on that. So, I mean, you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
They-
Oh, no. I'm just saying. I hear the complexity of these things are not at all straightforward, and there's a lot of follow-up
yeah.
questions to get it
I
right.
personally, with this one, I would just say, okay, it's the annual direct cost per PI would be 272,445. That
So divide
seems
by
very
half.
reasonable to me because
Yeah.
there's two PIs and they're probably going to cut it in half. Again, that's kind of a guesstimate, right? Unless you want to spend your time going,
Yeah.
going back to them, which is fine if you have the time, right?
Yeah.
Or you could flag it and come back to it. But you're probably making a pretty good guesstimate there that
Okay.
it's 272.
Now we don't get dinged
Yeah.
if NIH comes back and says, "Oh, you didn't calculate it correctly," or for whatever reason they're questioning our inputs.
Come back and said, um, sorry, my someone's trying to call me. So
Okay,
anyway,
perfect. Yeah, we're out of time. I'm sorry, I completely hijacked this meeting.
to like sit and calculate this. Can I gotta end the call. I got someone trying to really call me urgently here.